Hey everyone, welcome to the Growin Up Podcast. We're your hosts. My name's Nevaeh.
And my name's Amber.
And if you haven't listened to us before, we talk about anything and everything that has to do with growing up. So if that's something you're into, join us for the conversation.
Hey everyone, we're back. Just a little disclaimer before we start the podcast. Today we're going to only be doing an audio version because we are actually recording this podcast remotely. So we're not in our...
Are we remotely?
We're currently recording this podcast on the road.
That's a better word.
Yeah. Out of our mom's living room in Flagstaff, Arizona. So we're not in our respective states where we usually record. And we're actually together doing this podcast for the first time. So I just want to throw that information in there before we start.
Yeah, no. So if we sound a little awkward, it's just, first in-person podcast. So we're just kind of getting used to the whole presence of each other, I guess.
True. Yeah. But yeah, so for those of you, if this is your first time listening, we like to do this thing where we talk about or share something that we've learned since our last episode. So maybe we should go hop into that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go. I learned that I do not like stopping places for flights. I think I've had such a bad experience in every single flight I've had this year that had a connecting flight. So I'm done with connecting flights, I think. Yeah. So still trying to navigate that. I only bring that up because if you haven't listened to one of our... Actually, we didn't post that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The one where I was talking about my airport fiasco.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had another one of those, so... Anyways, but yeah, that's my learning topic.
No, I feel that. I try to avoid connecting flights at all costs.
Yeah, maybe it's like me getting older kind of thing, because I honestly didn't mind it before, but maybe I'm just doing too close of a layover. And I actually just think it's the whole airline in general. Like, I feel like flying now is not as prompt as it used to be.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I just feel like it hasn't been like promptly on time all the time.
Yeah.
Or more reliant on like timing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been a lot of issues with like airlines in general, so I feel
lots of construction. True. Give it 20 years and then
right.
Maybe we'll try again.
That's funny. Okay, so my learning topic, I learned that... Okay, I guess I'll just use this one. Yeah, I guess since we're recording audio remotely, so not like where we're stationed in our offices, I did learn how and what tools are necessary to have a podcast on the road. So just for those who
are interested,
this is what we have. And follow me on TikTok if you want to see more videos.
No, right.
No, so yeah, so I mean, basically right now all we have is 2 microphones and we have an audio interface and the laptop. And that is like that's super minimal, I think. And I think that's really cool that you're able to do this on the road. And it means there's no excuse not to do it.
That's true. That is very true. This is like actually this is our 3rd attempt trying to record with each other, like as we've seen each other in person. So we had to definitely sacrifice something. So that's your visual aspect of the podcast. So again, okay, the reason why we're here in Flagstaff, Arizona, let me just give you some background. We came home for a ceremony out at Hopi, and if you are Hopi, you know the hardships of being in the sun. So we're all a little toasty over here. So we're definitely saving y'all the toasty look.
Yeah, no, it's really bad.
Well, some worse than others.
Calling me out. Yeah. Also, just for those who are listening, you may hear some background noise. I'm not exactly sure how prominent it is, but again, we're doing this podcast live in the living room, so there's a lot going on, and we're about to have breakfast, right. So you might hear us scratching. Yeah. So I guess my question to you is how it's been since you got home. I mean, you kind of said that we're here for a ceremony. It's not often that we all get to come back and be together in person.
Right.
So like, What's been the vibes?
You know, it was dry.
Literally.
A little dry, just a little dry over here. No, it's been good. The weather's been actually really nice. It hasn't been like super hot. Well, at least in Flagstaff. Like obviously it was hot today, but I think I'm definitely conditioned with humidity, so this was not that bad of heat. Um Otherwise it was nice to see everyone. And just be in the same environment. Honestly, like even though it was only 4 days, 3.5 days technically, it felt like a good amount of time, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I think it maybe just like the natural aspect of everything, but it's going good.
Yeah, I think it definitely time went by slower than I thought. Like at first it was zooming by, but over the weekend in general, I felt like it went in a pretty steady state. Like I was able to enjoy my time is what I should say.
Right.
And yeah, so we got to see a lot of family over the weekend, and that was very fulfilling, I think, for me at least, because we don't really come back that often, and being with everybody like that is a rare occasion. So it was kind of nice. It was enlightening.
Right. Humor was top what was it called? Top shelf.
Okay. Yeah, so if those of you who are like not native and listen to our podcast, there is, I guess, a thing such as native humor.
Right.
So maybe some of the natives get us, but you know, sometimes when you're just in a group of people, you know, sometimes it's a lot of laughs, and you know, it's good vibes. I think I always know that I have to come prepared to
And for my abs to be worked out. And for my mouth to be sore. Exactly.
Yeah.
How about you? I mean, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but transportation to Arizona for us is also very different. So Amber drove down from Colorado, where she's based.
Yeah.
So obviously, I think that can put a strain on it too. But what are those like moments like for you?
Yeah, it's actually like really fun recently. I think this is probably me and my girlfriend and our dogs. Maybe our fourth time driving back to Arizona since we moved there.
Wow.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, it's about like from where we live to where we come here in Flagstaff, it's probably about 12 hours, 13 hours total.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a long drive. The first couple times we've done like the full drive, and that's fun. If it's fun coming down is what I should say.
Because you're going down.
Yeah, and then the drive back 13 hours, that one is a little bit strenuous. But we've started to spend nights in different locations, so splitting the trip in half is kind of nice as well, because we get to arrive sort of early and then get to enjoy the day rather than coming and then being pooped out. So it's been fun finding adventures. I've come to the conclusion that I actually really like Moab, Utah. I like that, going that route. One, because you get to go through the mountain, but two, I actually like Moab, the little town itself.
Yeah.
It's kind of a vibe. But yeah, so I mean, it's, again, I still have the drive back, but the drive down isn't so bad anymore.
Yeah. That's cool. That is really cool. Because what was it? Last March, April, May? I don't know. A couple months ago, when we went to Albuquerque for the conference that I went to, that was just interesting too, to kind of see like that halfway point, because that was kind of like a halfway point for you too. So obviously down the line, that would be cool to look at those as potential stops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get into some camping.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I want to do more, is because like it's nice to get a hotel that's dog friendly, but it's also more expensive.
Right.
So I want to like be able to just kind of pull into camping grounds and like stake up, camp, or like sleep in the back of our truck, something like that, where it's like more cost effective, and our dogs probably would like that a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit more freedom for them.
Yeah.
And it's just to sleep at the end of the day. Like you just need somewhere to sleep for a couple hours.
Very true. And I think that that's gonna be an investment though. So like,
if you want to be comfortable. Yeah. No, that's funny.
You kind of already talked about your your flight down.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard. It's it's a lengthy travel for like coming here. I think So the flight itself is not bad. I think what's hard is that you fly into Phoenix. So I guess like just that 2-hour drive from Phoenix to just Flagstaff makes it a lot more lengthier. And if you've ever drove on that route, like I definitely would prefer going down versus up. I feel like it's very hard going back up the mountain versus down. Yeah, I think that's the only downside of it all that makes it hard. But otherwise, again, my my airport troubles maybe not related to specifically here, but just in general. So
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I know it's been like a while since you've came back here to our hometown and to, I guess, to the Rez. So like, what is that like for you to make that switch from your research life, I guess, living not corporate, but urban, I guess you can say, and then coming to this small town and then also to the reservation? Like, what's that switch like?
I guess it was more of like a no switch, I feel like I always feel this, I don't know. It's very natural, I guess. Coming back, I feel like it's just like even just like with being with family and everything, it's like you don't really have to re-explain yourself, which can be a lot for, having to continuously be in situations where you're always having to kind of explain who you are or take extra time to elaborate on things.
Yeah.
But being around obviously like a community, family, friends that kind of understand things, that it just is a relief. And I feel like you can get more information in and feel a little bit more like relieved, I guess, of a lot of things, which can be hard when you don't have that as much. And obviously I'm lucky to have like my husband and have that kind of support there, and like be able to go home and actually like let my guard down. But it's nice to not have to do it all the time and just kind of be able to I guess talk as I am, or have a conversation with people that just kind of understand me for the most part.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I guess I kind of noticed, because it's been a while, and I think this time around too, just knowing what I know and taking this time to really like analyze like what is it that I miss, like what specifically are things that I miss, and how can I maybe suffice for them back in North Carolina, or like just kind of really balancing and kind of making my ticks, marks, notes and stuff like that for I guess down the line, and what that might look like for my future, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, but yeah.
No, yeah, I think I feel that too. I feel that sometimes when you come back, you experience or you feel something that you forgot you were missing. And I think that's like the good part about coming home, at least for me, is that I kind of get grounded again.
Yeah, right.
And for those who aren't really familiar, like the reservation, at least where we're from, it's more remote, I guess you can say. So, I mean, we didn't even really have signal, like phone signal out there. I know a lot of people do, but for some reason, when you come from the city, it just doesn't want to work out there. So like
calibrations don't want to work.
Yeah. So we're not using our phone. We're not like on laptops. We actually don't have electricity at our house. So like, you kind of forget the simple life, I think, when you're in the city. So like going back, it kind of, again, grounds you. But I think one thing too that you kind of said, like, you don't have to explain yourself when you go back. I think that's one thing that I really had to learn as being someone who doesn't live on the reservation, like as a native, is at first I thought that I had to code switch every time I was in different environments. But I think that I truly became happier when I learned that I could be my authentic self in both worlds. So I think that more recently, at least like in my adulthood, I haven't had to, I choose not to code switch so much. And like, I think that it's helped my family out on the reservation understand me more, because I'm more authentic and like, I'm not going to like go and be two completely different people. But that's helped me like stay sane. And same with when I'm out in like, out in Colorado, it's like, I like to share my culture with a lot of people, and then it helps them understand who I am. So I don't have to like
do it again.
Yeah. So I think that's something that I've learned over time is just that it's okay to be yourself in both worlds.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely still trying to like learn that. I think being away for so long, like really, really away, like far in Neverland.
Yeah.
um
Okay, another just random side note. We have a lot of dogs in our family. So we're actually recording this podcast with like 3 dogs around us.
So if you hear some clawing, that's our dogs. Yeah, no, I'm still trying to get a good grasp of it all. I think definitely too being like in a field that kind of really doesn't allow for the space to, you know, be who you are, I guess, or like it's just not as like, I guess, called for. And obviously too, like I think that has to do just a lot with the environment of where I live, like living in the South and like how that might be perceived. Obviously there's a lot of people there that don't even think natives exist anymore, and which can be super harsh. So yeah, definitely still trying to learn. Obviously, yeah, the code switching for sure. Obviously still trying to get an idea because sometimes I do tend to speak like very fast. So even though it's not necessarily like the terms I'm using, but more of like the speed I'm talking. But it is nice that I don't really have to like slow down here, and then people can understand me.
Oh my god, that's funny. You know, just a random like one that I kind of think of is like, I feel that on the reservation or just like in native culture, like sometimes alcohol and drinking is kind of like a taboo topic, you know? So like that's something that like one of those things that I'm like being authentic about myself is like at first I didn't want my family to think that I drank alcohol. You know what I mean? Like that's so random, but then like you realize like so what? Yeah, like you know what I mean? So like I just say this because like this weekend, like I made a joke about like, you know, being at a bar, or, like telling a story about being at a bar. And like, for me, that was my first time actually opening up about like, yeah, like I go to the bar, you know, like I drink. So like just random things like that. Like I'm learning that again, like I can just be myself. Like no one's going to be like, oh my God, she goes to the bar. Like,
right. No, actually that's funny because I think something too that I realized this time around. Well, now I came back married this time. So I think that was obviously like a big topic that came up a lot. Which was nice to know that like obviously that was acknowledged. But obviously there's a lot of like cultural stuff behind becoming married, at least in like our culture and whatnot. But also it was kind of just interesting for me to like see how I've grown up and also like express how I've grown up to people. Because like, you know, like every time I come back, I'm kind of like at a different stage in my life, and like now I'm at a new stage in my life, and I think that it's kind of interesting to see how people like really try to catch up in between those times of like them not seeing me, I guess, or like kind of get an idea of like who I am now. I don't know, I think that's always interesting for at least myself, just because I don't come back as often. And obviously there's just been a lot of like what is called monumental moments, I guess, that have happened in my life so recently that I think others are just trying to get a grasp of like who I am, how they should interact with me, and obviously not like I'm an alien or something, but like but just like, you know, kind of get an idea of like where I'm at. And I think that always kind of like just is a little surprise for people too, like, you know, even just like drinking and stuff like that. Like, yes, I am now old enough to consume alcohol legally. I'm just kidding.
And have a husband.
I guess. Yeah, I have a couple of degrees, but so that was interesting to kind of just have those conversations with people, and always hear that like we're growing up, and just, you know, the people that we're becoming, and you know, because, you know, they don't see every single thing that that happens in their life. So unless they're on Facebook. Unless they're on Facebook or Instagram, then maybe they will, but
if you know, you know.
That's cool though. It was a good time though. Overall, really good time on the reservation.
I think one thing that I was kind of like thinking about this time, because So those who've listened before, I do work in technology, so I that's kind of my little my identity, like recently my identity has been like, hey, I work in tech.
Yeah.
So one thing that I was really like thinking about internally as I was out on the reservation was how natural it is for me to be without technology, which I think is kind of insane. Like I've never really been that attached to technology. Like even though I love everything that I have, right? Like it's so easy for me to just be
Hands off.
present. Yeah. And like have no phone or like no anything. And I was just like, that's so funny because like again, I do have my identity as being in tech and that's what I do for a living, but on the reservation that's very limited. So
yeah. No, I agree 100%. It's always funny because I was talking to AJ last time he came home back in February, and like obviously you don't have your phone a lot, you don't text each other and stuff like that, and I think it's just like this common like knowledge of like knowing that that's really the last thing like on your mind, and you're kind of like not like obviously not in a negative way or in a negative way, or not that like he forgot about me, but just showing how much like the idea of being present and present within the moment is kind of a thing. And it's just very easy. I think the environment is just overall just a very easy environment to be able to do that, which I love. But no, that's funny because I didn't even think about like you being in tech and how much technology you have at home.
Yeah.
You took your laptop for a ride.
I did. Yeah, we were originally planning on trying to record the podcast out there with video and such, but we just got consumed with the moment.
Yeah, right. Hands off.
Yeah, and we were eating a lot of food. So those who don't know, a lot of native cultures, tribes, people love food. We have our own specific dishes, I guess, that we have in our culture, being Hopi, but I do know some other tribes out there have some really good food as well. So
yeah,
our weekend was a lot of eating.
yeah, very good food.
Soul food.
Very good food. Yeah,
yes.
Fed the soul.
Yeah. But no, that was nice. I think also one thing that I really lack in my life that I do get when I come home is being surrounded by like youth, like kids.
Yeah,
I live, with my girlfriend and my brother, and like a lot of our friends are just what do they call them? Single. I know, double income. Dinkwads. There you go. A lot of our friends are dinkwads, double income without kids.
Oh.
But with a dog. Wait, something like that. Anyways.
I was like, what? Oh.
Wait, dinkwad. Double income, no kids, with a dog. There you go.
Oh.
So with what I'm trying to get at is that
there's no kids around.
There's no kids around us. Like we don't really like hang out with kids. And when I go back to the reservation, obviously me and my sister don't have kids, so there's no youth just in our like immediate family. But a lot of our extended family does have kids, and that's something that I do love coming home to because you get to be surrounded by, I guess, our future as natives, the next generation, as they would say.
Yeah.
Sometimes it scares me, but I'm just kidding. But sometimes it is like, very powerful in itself, just seeing them out there.
No, right. And then you kind of have those moments of like, oh, you're seeing what other people perceived you when you were a kid,
Yeah.
At least that's how I look at it. I guess it's like, wow, like is that how I look running around? Oh my gosh. Just kidding. No, but that's true. I didn't think about that because I have a lot of dinkwads too. Dinky wads. So that's a good observation, but it's always nice too. I think they also like they say like kids are like the most truthful people too.
Yeah.
So it's so funny to kind of just like just talk with them and hear their feedback and certain things and what they're up to. Or I think it's also funny too, just because we don't have necessarily like have kids, or we're not like older yet. So like a lot of the jokes that we have our TikTok things we say, like obviously they understand it too.
Yeah.
So it's always funny to kind of just like, they're like, oh, you seen that on TikTok?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I did,
Right.
mamacita.
True, that was me. Like I went up to one of our cousins, I guess, and he had a Pikachu like shirt, and then he had it off. So I was like, "Hey, we're happening to like Pikachu sweater," and he like looked at me like, just like, "Why are you talking to me?" And then I was like, "I like Pokemon," and he's like, "You do?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got a lot of Pokemon cards." And he's like, and I was like, "Now I know who to give my Pokemon cards to," and he's like, "Oh!" And he got so excited, and I was like, "Yes." We're still kids when we get old.
Right. No, that was what I thought was funny too, because I was like, just doing my little TikTok trends. I was gritting and they were laughing at me outside.
Oh my god. Wow. You were really embracing that. That's so funny.
Okay, so we talked a lot about being on a reservation, which I think was also different for us too, because a lot of the times we will just go like a day trip to the reservation and then come back, but we were able to spend a little bit more time out there and see a lot more of different friends and family. So that was nice to be able to have the time to at least do that and see those and spend at least a good amount of time with individuals. But we also did come back to Flagstaff. We obviously, our mom lives here in the area, so I think that's always something interesting to come home to and see how Flagstaff has developed over time. I think we had a Growing Up Granola was one of our episodes where we talked about what it was like growing up in Flagstaff, Arizona. If you've never been to Flagstaff, we'd highly recommend coming to this area. I always tell people that if I wasn't from Flagstaff, I'd probably move here. But it's grown a lot, and obviously now being here in person, like even from the last time, just seeing all of the things happening, I guess.
The advancements.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All of the construction, but there are things though that just don't change too, which is nice. Also, I think just coming home and having those certain places where you're able to kind of again feed your soul in a different way. Yeah.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that, because coming home to the reservation is always a nice, like, again, like grounding experience. But for some reason, Flagstaff is always like the place that makes me like my comfort zone, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think that's like, I guess, yeah, it's like fulfilling of the heart, because like there's places that we like to go eat and places we like to go, and it's kind of like just fulfilling, I guess.
Yeah, something familiar.
Yeah.
Mm.
And just the like culture here and the vibes, it's just always so nice.
Right. Yeah, no, I love it here, and I am one of those reminiscers, though. I'm sure if you've been here for a long time, you know, how I am my reminiscing, but I am that person that will have to just swing by everything and say hello. Hi, high school. Hi, downtown Flagstaff.
Down to the house we lived in.
When the very first house we lived in Flagstaff. Yeah, so I am one of those people, but I think it also just kind of reminds me too, because I feel like being in school and trying to like pursue such a like rigorous career pathway, I feel like it's just always needed, especially because one thing that I really kept in mind during this trip, as I am working on applying to medical school, is just my personal statement and answering the question of why medicine, like why am I interested in medicine? That's the one thing that they want to know. And what was it that made you want to pursue medicine? So that was something that I really tried to be a little bit more observant of, like remembering why and rewiring that reason of why I chose this path. So I think that always kind of helps me understand my upbringing and like what made me be the person that I am today, or just little things that I might not have, I guess, or like I've tucked away for a long time, I guess, for the most part. So I think that was something that I really was trying to use during this time as motivation, because it's a very hard pathway, and I think at least being away for such a long time, you can kind of get stuck in that moment of like, why am I even doing this anymore? Like, is it even worth it? Or because you just don't have those same things there present or visual or in reach for you to kind of remember why.
Yeah.
So I think that was nice for me, and I'm hoping that that'll kind of at least push me to be a little bit more proactive, I guess, in the journey, and understand like why I am choosing this path, or why I remember why I did everything that I've done so far. So that was nice though. But again, if you have never been to Flagstaff before, we highly recommend it. If you need recommendations, slide into the Growin Up Podcast Instagram. Happy to provide some recommendations. And yeah, maybe one day we'll have a maybe we'll have a potty episode like in front of the house we grew up.
I'm crying. That'd be so random. No. I think you had some really good stuff, because for those who don't know, we've talked about this in a couple past episodes, but we didn't grow up on the reservation. So although like, you know, we have that special connection to our culture, to our homelands, like ultimately Flagstaff is the community that we grew up in. And it kind of, like you were saying, like your why, like this was your community, you know?
Right.
So I think that Flagstaff will always have a special place in our heart, because this is where we grew up, and these are the people who supported us on our way up. And a lot of them are still here, honestly, which is kind of nice, you know? So
yeah, I also think too, like it's interesting to see how Flagstaff has developed in supporting like Native families as well. I think when we came here, there was not a lot of Native families in the area. I feel like it was very rare. There was like a couple, but again, it was very rare that you would see Native families in the area. And then obviously as these opportunities arise for individuals, and I think that want to, you know, give a little bit of a better opportunity to children, that which is basically what our reason was for being here. Living here in Flagstaff was just for the opportunities, but it's nice to see what they're doing now as a city to kind of support that, and reinstill this indigenous properties that Flagstaff also holds as well, in regards to like sacred the San Francisco Peaks, which holds a lot of like traditions and a lot of different like local tribes, not just Hopi but other tribes as well. And then yeah, just like things like that, because like I know at least from like what I've seen and what I keep up with, that they're trying to rename San Francisco Peaks back to like its original name, which is a Native name, you know. So that's been something that the community has been working towards. I know they've been working towards like a Native American like center for like the community as well. Just different things like that. I think it's always just nice to see how, even NAU too, like just how they facilitate the, I guess, support for Native students also, and providing them at least a space to at least, you know, pursue education, and but also kind of keeping that prestigious dynamic as well that brings other students here that might not be Native also. So yeah. I don't know, it's just kind of interesting how they kind of are really trying to integrate that almost like both worlds, I guess, into the community. So yeah, I hope that, you know, those will help more families kind of, you know, have the same opportunities and kind of, you know, lead them to a good path. Yeah. Whatever that might be.
Yeah. Yeah. So those who don't know, when Nevaeh was an overachiever living in Flagstaff, she did a lot of community work. So she saw what it was in the past, I guess, and you still clearly keep up.
I do. I really do. Now. I really do. I just like, even just thinking about like my high school and the support that they provided there, and how that's grown to support more students also now. I think it's always interesting, because, you know, that's all you can really want for a community. And I think too that a lot of those shaped me to be who I am today, and without like probably some of those opportunities, I don't think I would have been like, I guess, as, you know, accomplished as I am. So I definitely owe a lot of that to the community and what was developed, and I hope that, you know, that goes the same for a lot of other students as well.
Yeah, you know, that was another thing too that like I love to do when I come back home to Flag to the reservation is I love to like sprinkle some motivation on all the youth. But I bring that up because one of my girlfriends, little cousins, is actually going to go to the high school that we went to. And for those who don't know, the high school we went to has a dormitory, which basically is for Native American students to go and live as they pursue education, off the reservation. So, I thought that was really cool just because, that's the school we went to. And it was just kind of just a moment, to like let them know it's okay. And like, it's a good place to be, I guess. But like, sometimes I know that it's really hard for some of those students because, again, we went to school with kids who lived in the dorms, and some of them, didn't unfortunately stay all 4 years. And, it's
hard to leave your
switch.
family. Yeah. Like you're leaving somewhere and not being surrounded by your community. And I can understand how that can be a little scary and uncomfortable and just not natural almost. And that is the case too. Yeah. A lot of sometimes that they go home and again, understand why, like, family's family.
Yeah. And that reminds me of when we used to mentor. It's funny because me and Nevaeh were actually mentors for a program that is tailored toward those kids going to school in those dormitories off of the reservation. And, one thing that I wanted to do in that time too was just to let them know that, like I personally never met them in person, but like I'm rooting for them, and I think that goes a long way with some of those kids in those situations because it is so tough on them. And it is nice to know that there are programs like what you were talking about, like the city trying to make things better for Indigenous people off the reservation, but also specifically tailoring toward those students. And I think that's an awesome program. And I think that'll help a lot of kids continue to push through and have those opportunities that they may not get if they were to go to school on the reservation. So I think that's cool. And I do like, it's funny because even with kids, me and Nevaeh like to try to get, more kids focused on education, and I guess just trying to let them know, that there are opportunities and that we can help if they need be. But
be an extra voice.
Yeah. And also just be a supporter because I know that a lot of people need that.
And it can go a long way.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah. So I know your flight's leaving here in a couple hours.
Literally.
Yeah, we should probably get going. But I'm curious, what is one thing that you didn't get out of this trip home?
Hawaiian barbecue.
Obviously, no, really.
No, I got everything in. I think I squeezed it all in there. I feel fulfilled. I'm just kidding. I think I don't really always have like come with an expectation, I guess, of like what I want to do. Obviously, there are things like mainly food where like you want to cross off your list and make sure you get a little bit of that taste in there somewhere. But I don't think there's like necessarily like a thing that I was like, oh, I need to do that, which I think is the nice part of coming home is that like everything kind of just seems a little bit natural. I think for the most part is like, even though there are, like we kind of talked about earlier, like there are things that like, you didn't realize you missed until you're doing it or you get it and whatnot. So I think there wasn't necessarily like a thing that I like was missing. Obviously probably more time, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Obviously there are like things that I want to go and like explore, like do a hike, I feel like those are things like more like outdoorsy stuff that I grew up doing that I would have liked to have done. But again, you have to like kind of sacrifice for the other things that you want to do. But if I had all the time in the world, I definitely would have gone outdoors for sure.
Yeah. That's my thing. Every time I come home, I say that I want to go to the Grand Canyon. So those may not know. I did speak about it in one of our previous episodes.
I think we did talk about it.
Yeah, that I really love the Grand Canyon and that holds a special place for me, both culturally and just, I guess, personally.
Yeah. Also part of our upbringing story as well, too.
Literally. But no, that's something I always have on my list, and I haven't gone in a while, so that will be unfortunately another thing I didn't do this time. But I, again, it's like it's just a want to do.
Yeah.
But I do need to squeeze in there. Maybe, I specifically come back for that.
Yeah.
is what I should do.
Yeah. I think we mainly, obviously, too, it depends on what we're coming home for. Usually it is like a ceremony of some sorts, but I think definitely a trip where we're just coming back just to come back, I think would be something
that's true.
down the future that might be a little bit of a different, fulfilling.
An improvement.
Yeah, because I think that would be cool just to like
come home to be home.
Just yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. But no, mine mostly is always going to be food. I'm going to Phoenix here soon for maybe a couple hours, and I'm trying to get every taco I can remember, which will probably not be fulfilled, but I'll let you know in the next episode. No, the food, if y'all don't know, Arizona has some of the best food, and I mean, fight me on that, but I've been to probably like
it does have really
half of the states in the country, and Arizona will just always hold that special place.
Yeah, right.
No, yeah, I think one thing that I did improve though on this travel back, something that I usually miss that wasn't missed this time was probably like being able to spend time with my girlfriend's family, which is always that hard. Yeah. I'm pretty sure people can relate to that. Yeah. It's like if you're both from the same place, how do you split time when you come back home? Like it's always so hard. And I think like trying to find that
there
balance.
Needs to be a science for that.
Yeah, it really does. And then like, yeah. But that was improved this time. And I think it was better for both of us. But yeah. That's one thing that usually I go home and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have spent time with her family. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we know this is a little bit of a different podcast setup, but I hope you guys enjoyed at least hearing a little bit more about us and our journey home. And hopefully that can bring you a little bit of insight into, I guess, what it's like for us to travel here. And would love to hear
what it's like for other people who live off the reservation and maybe even like Nevaeh across the country from your homelands. Like, we know it's tough, and we've kind of been doing this a lot of our life, because we didn't grow up on the reservation. So, these moments are special for us and will continue to be as we pursue whatever we're doing in life. But yeah, so let us know. Let us know your guys' travel home stories and what it's like and what you go home.
Any tips? Yeah. Always open to tips.
Are you guys able to get away from TikTok for a whole 48 hours?
I was not. I found one spot where I was able to scroll a little bit. Didn't miss much though.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's funny. Yeah. But anyways, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Sorry you didn't get to see our beautiful faces. Probably for the better because they're kind of burnt.
Speak for yourself.
Oh my God. But yeah, again, we are available to listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We'll still post this on YouTube. It'll just be one probably still photo of our beautiful faces. Not burnt.
Not burnt.
But yeah, listen to us there. Follow us on social medias. Give our podcast some ratings. I know that a majority of our listeners do listen on those podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you do, give us a 5-star rating on there if you think, or whatever we deserve. Just so that helps us out on those platforms as we continue to grow. And yeah. And we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, sounds good.
When we're back in our states. Bye.
Right. Checking out.